Nikki here. I'm here today to do my spoiler-free review for the book I chose to do. It is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I just have, as you can see, I have a copy from the library because the copy I own is a graphic novel. And it does say adaptation, and having read through both of them, there are a few differences, so I wanted to go back to, for lack of a better term, the source material to figure it out. That being said, if you enjoy the idea of the story, as you'll be able to gauge once I'm done my review, either of these would be an amazing pick. I loved both of them. So The Handmaid's Tale, it's the story of Offred, or Offred, I'm not sure how you say it. I'll probably say Offred every time. She is a handmaid in the Republic of Gilead, and she is the main character, and you are following her point of view through the entire story, and it just kind of is her existence through the situation she's in right now. The novel itself is a pretty, I would say, a pretty scathing speculative fiction. The world has changed, and the book is a commentary on the dislike of how the world has changed. I really enjoyed the book. I found the world to be very believable, very concrete, and easy to, it was really easy to delve into. The world was really well explained. It was explained through exploring it with Offred, her thoughts and observations. That's all I really have to say in summary, and I will move into my likes and dislikes. 3 likes, 3 dislikes. It's my usual. My first like is that I really enjoyed the world in which the story took place. Like I said, it's very believable. It was very easy to connect to the world. Offred made it really easy to explore the world, and it gave you a very consistent stream of information rather than big info dumps, and I think it allowed for the world to be very enriched and vibrant based on this description and how everything fell into place. My second like was Offred, the character herself. I really enjoyed getting to know her, and with how the story was written, you did get into all the nitty-gritty corners of her brain, which I typically really enjoy, and because it was from her perspective, you got almost like a unfiltered stream of consciousness, which was really nice, and it gave a lot of depth to her character and a lot of depth to the world around her. And my third like was a little bit on the commentary of her current world versus her previous world, and just kind of the disconnect between the two and her feelings on them. With that, that's all I'm really going to say about my likes. I don't want to go into too much detail. I will move on to my dislikes. And so my first dislike is the plot pacing. I found it a little bit meandering, and while I don't think it was hard to follow, I did find my attention wavering at some points just because of this. And it was meandering because it's from Offred's point of view, so it's very much kind of that storytelling feeling, and that lends itself to that kind of stream of consciousness storytelling where she's just talking about everything as it comes to her mind and just as she goes. Additionally, within that, because of how the story is told, there's no action. The story didn't need it, but if someone is looking for a lot of action, it's not there. My second dislike is the disjointedness when you're in Offred's thoughts. Although very interesting, I found it very disconcerting sometimes how abrupt things were when she would have a memory or flashback, and that did pull me out of the book a little bit. But it was nothing major. It was just enough to kind of break the flow of reading, and then I'd have to get back into it. And my third dislike was the ending. Those of you who have read the book probably understand what I'm getting at, even if you don't necessarily agree. And I don't want to say too much here, but I just would like you to know that the ending may not be as action-filled as you would hope. And other than that, I'm not going to say anything else on the matter. I will move on to my characters here. Alright, so I'm just going to talk about a handful of characters. The cast isn't particularly large. While there are lots of people around, Offred only interacts with a few people, so I'll talk about her and some of her major interactions. There is Offred herself. I would consider her a fairly oppressed female character. She is our main character, and it is her point of view that we see the world from. She is a handmaid in the Republic of Gilead. A handmaid is essentially a government-regulated surrogate and that is just the role that she has been chosen to fill. I found her personality to be pretty interesting, and that allowed me to really enjoy reading her, which is good because the story was from her perspective. It would have sucked if I hadn't liked the narrator. Then you have Offglen. She is the paired handmaid for Offred. It was very interesting. You get a lot of interactions between the two of them, and you would consider her almost an ally of sorts, not necessarily, even though you wouldn't necessarily consider her a friend. And she was interesting to read about. But there's really nothing too in-depth to talk about with her. You have the commander, who is the head of Offred's house. Every household it's a patriarchal setup. The commander is the head of this household. I don't think you ever really find out his name. She calls him the commander as his title. And then you also have the commander's wife. She's considered she's the blue wife, so she's the married wife of the commander, but Offred's there because they are either having trouble conceiving or can't. Those are really the major players with Offred and her interactions. And really, I find the characters really interesting. They are pretty surface level, but your perspective of them changes a little bit as your perspective of, as Offred's perspective changes, because she's your narrator, she's your source of information. And so a lot of the changes that happen with the characters over the book happen to coincide a lot more with her change of opinion of the person, and that allows for a change in what she notices about them. And that's all I have to say. I will move on to my wrap up. So the rating itself, I would say, is a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed my read through of this book, and I found that my likes, which were the world building, Offred, and her perspective that we got to read from, and kind of the comparison of the old and new worlds, really lent itself well to the story. And I found they really outweighed my dislikes, the plot pacing, the disjointedness, and the ending. And it's not that they weren't dislikes, I just found they didn't hold the same weight on the other end of the scale to balance out, and as such, my opinion of this book is rather high. This book itself, I'd really recommend it to anybody that enjoys speculative fiction, especially speculative fiction from a female point of view. It was really interesting to read kind of the fallout of the Republic of Gilead. And with that, I will say goodbye and see you guys in the next video. See ya!